Hello everyone, Salam Namaste, Adab, and welcome to today's event. Today it's our honor to host Dr. Rahman Khan, who was Deputy Chairman of Rajya Sabha, the upper house of Parliament, as well as twice the Union Cabinet Minister in Congress governments. Rahman Saab is a very well-known Muslim politician from the southern belt, Karnataka, and his story is remarkable. I wish we had many politicians like him, so constructively engaged with the society. His remarkable work as chairman or director of Al-Amin Society and the cooperative bank is really very inspirational. Contributed a lot of establishing colleges, engineering, medical, and general colleges, schools in the southern belt of Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, I guess. And he has been in the politics as well as in community development since almost 5 decades. So let me not go beyond that. Dr. Abu Saleh Sharif has kindly agreed to do introduction as well as some commentary on his life. So please, Dr. Abu Saleh Saab.
Assalamu alaikum. Am I audible?
Ji.
Yes.
Ji. I'm very thankful for the Washington DC chapter for asking me to introduce Khan Saab. Khan Saab is a legendary politician, in brackets politician. He's a Rajya Sabha member. He has a different profile, very different than mainstream politicians. I happen to know him closely. The duration and time when I spent on such a committee, that is the time I interacted with him more intimately. At that time, Khan Saab was deputy chairman of Rajya Sabha. He was kind enough to get me in his car while traveling and then talking to me and giving me a lot of perspective about policy. So Khan Saab has a long stint in the parliamentary system. And he has a understanding of the ring side view, which now ordinary people do not have. So Khan Saab's earlier profile, people can Google. He has been a kind of accounting firm, I think he was running. But he's basically an institution builder within Karnataka. In Karnataka, he conducted very long ago a sample of Muslim households in Karnataka. He presented the data to Karnataka government, which resulted in 4% reservation on the basis of the Muslim backwardness in Karnataka. That is one of his greatest contribution to Karnataka and, of course, to the nation. He has also been a minister for, cabinet minister for minority affairs. I had extensive discussions and engagements with him at that time. Now, more about him as you go on. Khan Saab himself will tell you. I have limited time, so I have read his book. I recommend that everybody has to read that book. I hope it is available in United States. It is called Muslims' Way Forward. It is a very lucid book, easy to understand. And there are a huge number of issues which he addresses. And the book is extraordinary. In spite of that, as you know, I'm an academic. And all books, there will be a few elements which could be missing, or which there could be a few elements. The author's view may differ from a person like me who is another academic. So I have a kind of list of about 7-8 comments, which I will very quickly read. And I urge Khan Saab to consider replying to those as he speaks. He doesn't have to reply to each item as a question answer. He doesn't have to do that. But we can engage on that issue later. Particularly, Khan Saab is going to talk about Indian Muslims today, 2021. But if you want to see the issues, what about Indian Muslims? We have to go back about 20, 30 years, particularly what is called the post-liberalization period of 1991. That is the benchmark date after which India started opening up to the global world, its economy changed, its policy making changed. And as it was doing, the economic protection policies, retraining and redeployment of artisans, businesses, self-employment communities were never ever launched in India, in spite of liberalization. Most of the countries in the world, when they go to liberalization, they first do the protection policies. How does liberalization affect the poor? How do the businesses, small businesses, get affected by liberalization? How are self-employed communities affected? Government never thought about it in 1991. It went into liberalization. The Muslims are the worst affected during that time. Now, although one of the issues which was raised at the time was Muslims have been given special provision for minority educational institutions. But the use of minority educational institutions, the community failed to address appropriate education and training for the Muslim poor, in spite of the fact the constitution and government of the day gave a provision for minority education institutions. So Khan Saab has not gone into the details of why there is an institutional failure. So I would make a very quick remark that minority educational institutions, they rather got involved in money-making business. This is a seminar topic for another day. So I appreciate Khan Saab himself run huge educational institutions, DPS in Bangalore. I urge him to reflect why these institutional provisions fail to help Muslim community. Khan Saab has to rethink about this, and maybe in his next book or next edition of his book, I urge him to add value about this. Another issue which is covered in his book is access to institutional credit. This is the crux of the issue. Credit businesses in growing economies, you need access to credit to overcome poverty and become part of the mainstream. Please read Sachar Committee. There is a special chapter on banking and investment. Khan Saab has not given reference to it, although on page 65 he says Sachar Committee in one paragraph. But I expected him to get into the value which Sachar Committee has added. I hope he has lost Sachar Committee books. I can send a copy to him both in Hindi and English. Book raises this issue, but look at the community failure. He raises the banking issue, credit issue as a community failure. He doesn't look that as an institutional failure of the banks. So I urge him to reconsider it. He needs rethinking. We need new data on banking, and urge him to look into access to credit to Muslims is an institutional failure. It is not the failure of the community, according to me. Of course, community is responsible, but it is not a failure of the community. Now, Khan Saab has a ringside view of the Indian Parliament. Khan Saab also drafted what is called Waqf reforms when he was minister. But Khan Saab, why at that time you consider Waqf is a national issue? Because according to me, Waqf is not a national issue. Waqf is a state issue. Each state has different history behind Waqf, management behind Waqf. Bengal has a different context, Kerala has different, Karnataka has different. So I urge him, please deliberate on why your Central Waqf Act did not succeed. It did not value. Awqafs are collapsing. There is no evaluation that Awqaf has really benefited the poor Muslim community. Why is that Awqaf evaluation is never done? Why can't we do that at least in Karnataka, where you are deeply involved in Awqafs? I urge you to do an evaluation by the professionals. Now, because he himself was a minority minister, I urge him again, which is not covered, these issues are not covered in his book, is a budgetary allocation issue for the minority ministry. What is happening over time, especially since the BJP has come to power, even the scholarship scheme, post and post-metric and all that, it appears that has totally collapsed. It did work a few years when you were minister, people were appreciating, they were very happy that Khan Sahab took special interest in expanding access to these scholarship all over India. But sir, you have to tell us a little bit more as to what happened to that policy and program. The last point which I put, it's a little bit challenging, but with due respect to you, sir, you have been associated with the Congress party for all these years. So why INC failed to regain the confidence of Muslims, and why Congress still is trying to peddle soft Hindutva? Why not it takes a strong and determined secular perspective in its approach, so that India is full of secular people. If one sees strength in a political party, when I say secular people, I'm not talking of Muslims. Now, Muslims may be, Muslims have, in a fear psychosis. I cannot call them to be secular people. They think that they have to protect themselves, blah, 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 blah. Our secular people are our Hindu community. Now, why INC is failed to attract the secular Hindu community back to its fold? I'm not talking of the Muslim community in this. With this, I will be listening even if I am driving to it. I may not participate. I hope the listeners would get the benefit of extremely long stint in the ringside view of the parliament. I urge him to bring some interesting stories from his work environment. The book is there to read, so people will buy a book and read. So if you can share your experiences. In this context, I have to take another name, Khan Sahab's colleague, Hamid Ansari Sahab. He tend to share a few of his intimate inside stories to the people at large, and I urge Khan Sahab to do the same. Thank you very much, Razi Sahab.
Thank you, Saleh Sharif Sahab. Very interesting questions, very useful, and I will try to address them if time permits, inshallah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
जी रहमान साहब, फिर ये आपका फ्लोर आपका है.
Ji, now Anita, you can play the.
Yes, ma'am. Play.
Yes, sir. A glimpse into the journey. Born in 1939 in Kyarpet in the Mandya district of Karnataka, Sri K. Rahman Khan always strived towards excellence. In the year 1960, he graduated from Mysore University. A believer in societal transformation, Sri K. Rahman Khan was closely associated with CMA and the Al-Amin movement. In 1964, he became the first Muslim chartered accountant from Karnataka. As destined, Sri K. Rahman Khan married Aisha Rahman in the same year, who has been the cornerstone and strongest pillar of support in his life. In 1978, he was elected as MLC for the first time, during which his contribution was immense towards the upliftment of his community. In 1982, he rose to become the chairman of the Legislative Council. His conscientious efforts caught the attention of the Congress High Command, and he was appointed General Secretary of the Karnataka Congress in 1990. In 1993, he was appointed Chairman of the Karnataka State Minorities Commission, during which he spearheaded the first ever door-to-door survey for socio-economic and educational backward minorities, which resulted in the reservation of 4% for the Muslims in the backward category and also the creation of the Sachar Committee. 1994 marked an important milestone in his life as he began his 24-year stint as a member of the Rajya Sabha. During his tenure at the Rajya Sabha, he worked towards enhancing collective capacities for the progress of the country. His maiden venture as an MP fostered an extremely involved collaboration with Shri Manmohan Singh, who was then the finance minister of the country. In 2002, he shouldered the responsibilities of Deputy Leader of the Opposition in the Rajya Sabha and Deputy Leader of the Congress Party. In 2004, Shri K. Rahman Khan rose to the rank of Union Minister. After assuming office as a minister, he overhauled the establishment of the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. He was part of the Indian delegation which converged to improve bilateral ties with the neighbouring state of Pakistan. Towards the latter half of the year, Shri K. Rahman Khan presumed office as the Deputy Chairman of the Rajya Sabha and continued his service diligently for 8 long years. A front-runner who believes in collaboration and partnership, he was instrumental in improving bilateral ties with Saudi Arabia. It was indeed an honourable moment for the country when he addressed the 66th session of the UN General Assembly. A righteous leader, he worked relentlessly towards the upliftment and welfare of the minorities and ensured that they had a voice to raise their concerns.
It is a bit unusual for a deputy chairman of this august house to participate in the discussion on proceedings. It is possible there are prejudices, there are discriminations, there is unequal treatments. So it is the duty of any welfare state to provide, to see that discrimination is removed. That is why Article 15.4, Article 16.4 has been, empowers the government to remove this discrimination and equal treatment. The government has taken several measures to implement the recommendation of the Sachar Committee. But an impression is there within the community that the total implementation has not been done and the implementation is slow and stalled. Particularly, establishment of Equal Opportunity Commission has not recommended, that has not been done.
Shri K. Rahman Khan was revered by his colleagues and fellow bureaucrats for his dignified demeanour and sagacity.
उन्होंने बड़ा बैलेंस्ड तरीके से सबके साथ न्याय करते हुए राज्यसभा की कार्यप्रणाली चलाते हैं। कभी कभी नाराज होते नहीं देखा, कभी किसी को डांटते नहीं देखा। हंसते हुए प्यार मोहब्बत से सभी सदन में हर एक सदस्य को साथ लेके, फिर वो ट्रेजरी बेंचेस हों, ऑपोजिशन बेंचेस हों, सबको साथ लेके जिस प्रकार से उन्होंने राज्यसभा में एक समन्वय का वातावरण बनाते हुए अपना कार्यकाल उपाध्यक्ष का निभाया है, मैं समझता हूँ वो एक तरीके से मिसाल रहेगी।
राज्यसभा में विपक्ष के नेता अरुण जेटली भी उनकी कार्यशैली और बहुमुखी प्रतिभा के मुरीद हैं।
सामाजिक विषयों पे उनके बहुत प्रगतिशील विचार हैं, फिर उनकी भाषा शैली, शब्दों का चयन बहुत अच्छा रहता है। स्वभाव मधुर है, कभी तनाव में नहीं आते और ये सबसे बड़ा उनमें गुण है कि जो सदन का संचालन करने में उनकी सहायता करता है।
मेरा ये पहला टर्म है और भारत की राज्यसभा में मैं शायद सबसे कम उम्र की महिला सांसद हूँ, इसलिए रहमान साहब तो मुझसे बहुत बड़े हैं कि इतने कम समय में भी उन्होंने बहुत सहायता की और मार्गदर्शन दिया और एक बड़े होने के नाते संरक्षण भी किया सदन।
समाजवादी पार्टी के सांसद मोहन सिंह मानते हैं कि उनके अपने जीवन पर रहमान खान ने गंभीर छाप छोड़ी है।
बहुत संजीदा तरह के इंसान हैं। एक बार मुझसे गलती हो गई, मैं माफ़ी मांगने गया तो उन्होंने कहा क्या आप कह रहे हो, जैसे कोई अपने छोटे भाई के पीठ पे हाथ रख के मुस्कुरा दिए। तो मैं तो बहुत उनकी इज्जत करता हूँ।
राज्यसभा की परंपराओं को ध्यान में रखना और जो नियम कानून है राज्यसभा को संचालन में, उससे ध्यान में रख करके मुझे लगता है कि उनका अपना प्रदर्शन बेहतरीन है और वो सभी सांसदों के, चाहे वो किसी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी के हों, बहुत प्रिय हैं, सम्मानित हैं और सब हम उनका बहुत आदर करते हैं, सम्मान करते हैं।
My personal appreciation for the valuable contribution made by the Honorable Deputy Chairman Shri K. Rahman Khan.
In 2012, Shri K. Rahman Khan was elevated in political stature and was thereby invested upon the responsibility of Union Minister of Minority Affairs. As a part of propelling change, he introduced the historical Waqf Amendment Bill in 2013, which was long overdue. Though of a calm deportment, there were times when his incendiary speeches on pertinent matters provoked attention and serious consideration in the Rajya Sabha.
I have the honor to commend the Waqf Amendment Bill 2011 as reported by the Select Committee of Rajya Sabha for consideration of this August House. They have incorporated several provisions in the bill which would prevent the misuse of Waqf properties and would lead to proper administration of Waqf. I would like to know from the Honorable Home Minister whether you want to rule this country on the development plan or you want to rule the country by spreading the poisons. If a snake bites, one person will die. If one public representative, if one MP or MLA, venom is spread, thousands and thousands of brains are poisoned. If by making some statement, you will not be able to create terror among this thing. Only we pity you and trying to divide the country. And you say you want to unite the country, you want to take the country on the development, and you want not to take any action. And the Prime Minister, he has to create confidence among every citizen. I, as a citizen of this country, I feel I am not safe. For giving me the opportunity to participate in this debate. Sir, before I start, I would like to follow the ethics and I would like to disclose that I'm associated with a private school. Sir, the RTA Act is in operation from last 7 years. It is one of the landmark legislation which the Parliament has passed in the recent years. Amendment of making the education a fundamental right is the burden of educating a child from 6 to 14 has been shifted primarily from the parents to the state. Today it is the state responsibility to provide free, compulsory and quality education to a child, and no child should be left over. It's not a single child should be left over, and the state is responsible and accountable.
A visionary par excellence, he established the Indian Waqf Foundation that works towards the protection and development of Waqf proportions. He believes in being a catalyst in the transformation of society. He pioneered the establishment of reputable institutions, the Delhi Public Schools in Bangalore, South, North, East, Electronic City, Mysore, West and School of India at Bangalore and Kyarpet facilitate quality education and enable meaningful civic participation. The launch of Salar, digital newspaper dailies in Urdu and English in Bangalore, the Al-Amin institutions, Amanat Cooperative Bank, the Al-Amin Medical College and Hospital in Bijapur are significant endeavors through which Shri K. Rahman Khan strives for the betterment of the social order. Shri K. Rahman Khan believes in the power invested in us by the Almighty. He believes that each one of us is involved in the intricate web of life and are here to make a difference to our brethren and our nation.
Now I can, yes. Oh, thank you, Anita. Though the video is not very clear, but anyhow, I thank you for the showing this video. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Badar Raziuddin Sahab, Dr. Abu Saleh Sharif Sahab, Padma Shri Akhtarul Wasi Sahab, distinguished members of the Indian Diaspora, Washington, distinguished viewers, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. I'm grateful to Indian Diaspora for providing me an opportunity to present my book, The Indian Muslim, The Way Forward. This book is a culmination of my thoughts from last 55 years, having worked as a social worker, as a educationist, as a journalist, as a parliamentarian, and having worked intimately with my community. I have a clear picture of, from last 55 years of 70 years of our independence. I have a picture of what has gone wrong to the Muslims of India, particularly after partition. A large number of Muslims decided to remain in India. It is by choice. I have started my book with a preamble to the Constitution. The preamble says that we the people of India. So we are part of the we the people of India. So the Indian Muslims, the Hindus, the Sikhs, the Parsis, the Christians, God has destined us to live in this country. We have no choice. We have destined to be Indians and will remain Indians. We are citizens of this great country and we will contribute like any other citizen for the development of this country. Having said this, today, if we analyze the state of affairs of the Muslim community, whom we call minorities, the biggest section of the minorities. Are we really minorities? A 200 million people in any country, can they be called minorities? Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad doesn't believe that Indian Muslims are minorities in India. He asked the Muslims of India to, you are not minorities, you are the second largest majority. You should never think that you are a majority, you are a minority, you are the second largest majority. Now, this book contains about 5 chapters. In fact, I wanted to give some more details of the book, but Dr. Abu Saleh Sharif has written certain very good issues, questions, which needs to be answered. I will confine some of the comments, my presentation of book little briefly, and then I will try to address some of the questions raised by Abu Saleh. See, what is particularly concern is today the Indian Muslim, negativity has entered in entire Muslim community. We always think negatively. We think that we are minorities, we are discriminated, we can't do anything. So let us satisfy, let us be safe. This is all we want, only safety and protection. This is completely become a national character. So this is the main reason, in my view, for the backwardness. See, Maulana Azad, I have covered in my first chapter extensively the advice of Maulana Azad. He was one of the greatest leader India ever born. We have not read him, respected him, listened to him. So I have given some thought to his sayings, and what he says I have summarized, I will just skip and he has summarized. Maulana Azad has told us as early as 1947 from the steps of Jamia Masjid. He said, be God conscious, shun communal thinking, abstain from communal-minded groups that claim to speak in the name of Islam and Muslim. Think in terms of well-being of all people, not just of one co-religionist. Make promoting interfaith understanding and communal harmony one of your top priorities. Understand religion as a means for fostering consciousness of the oneness of humanity. Recognize the good in various religions based on an inclusive and pluralistic understanding of religion or spirituality. Work sincerely with the people from other faiths and communities for the common social good. This is the sum and substance of what I have covered about Maulana Azad. Now, I have also given some abstract of Dr. Ambedkar. I have raised a question that Dr. Ambedkar in 1947 presented a draft constitution to the Constituent Assembly. Unfortunately, most of the provisions, and he had said in a majority in government, the minorities are bound to be discriminated all over the world. It is not only to India. And in that context, he has suggested certain safeguards. Unfortunately, those safeguards are missing in the Constitution. Similarly, the issues which we are facing today, discrimination, no representation, defense forces and all that. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru has raised these issues as early as 1950 and 1950, the early stage of our independence. So these are all issues not new. 70 years is a long time. So in the next chapter, I have discussed about the leadership of the Muslim. We have two types of leadership, religious leadership and political leadership. In my view, both the religious leaders and political leaders have failed us. They have not led the people. They were not having a vision. They were not, none of them are visionary leader in my view, except Maulana Abul Kalam. India has never produced a visionary Muslim leader after Maulana Azad. Why? This is a question we have to ask. Today, we are most emotional people. Indian Muslims are most emotional people. We will be involved in non-issues very easily. So we will not address the basic issues with the community is facing. So I have talked about the leadership in detail, how so many blunders are committed, which has led to our backwardness. And the third portion of the chapter of my book is basically on the economic, educational, and social backwardness. It is not a new subject. Umpteen number of articles, books, everything is written. Several solutions were given. I may one of them to give some suggestions. But I will come when Abu Saleh Sharif question to be answered. Who are to be held responsible? We always feel that government is responsible. Other political parties are responsible. And we are promised, nothing has been done. We always shift the blame on others. Never we took blame of ourselves. If Muslims are backward today, the Muslims are responsible for their backwardness. Nobody else. We cannot shift our failure on somebody else, on government. Unfortunately, the psychic of Muslims is that they think government is a provider. Government never provides. It facilitates. It gives an opportunity. You have to grab the opportunity. You have to use the facilities. But unfortunately, Muslim thinks government is a provider. Every time, as Abu Saleh Sheikh at large about the budget. What is the budget for minorities? How much budget our share in our budget? This is, in my view, not very significant. I will deal with it later. Now, when the society is respected, when the person is respected, it is when that person can give something to the society. When a person is useful to the society, when that community useful to the society. Now take among the minorities, why Muslims are maligned. Take our Sikh brothers. They are very, when compared to Muslim, they are only about 1.5 or 2 crores. But they are contributing to the society. They are giving the best agriculture state is the Punjab. They are giving about 60% of the food grains to the nation. Then they give 20% of the armed forces are Sikhs. Take Christians. They have given to the society, school, education institutions, hospitals, what. And similarly, Parsis, all are giving to the society, they are respected. See, communalism comes only when you are not able to give anything to society. Take, for example, one of the richest men of the world is Azim Premji. He is a Muslim. Has he never been discriminated? Was he not respected? There are several people who are respected in this society. Several Muslims are respected in society. I have reached to this position, to the Union Cabinet Minister. I have never come across any discrimination. Maybe my other fellow brothers have come across. I'm also a Muslim. Why I have not been able to reach? How I have been able to contribute for building the various institutions. I have never felt when so many things we have done. We had no money also. We are able to contribute to society, but now we are able to contribute to society. So what we have to do is, I have mentioned in the book, we have to invest. What are we doing? What is our investment? You see, a country develops only when you invest in infrastructure. Where is our investment in infrastructure in India? 200 million people is as good as one country. What is our contribution to the infrastructure building? For all infrastructure, we are depending the government. That is not the case in other brothers of the other societies. Take, for example, the Lingayat, the Bakalikas, the Yadavs, everybody who were backward 50 years back, they have changed that. There is a total transformation in them. Why it is not happening among the Muslims? Because we have always negativism. We immediately we are suffering from communal polarization. We are discriminated. All that, yes, in a life you've come across so many, in individual life you come across so many hurdles, but you have to cross those hurdles. Here also, we have no choice. Indian Muslims have no choice but to live here. We have to practice how to live here. We have to earn the goodwill of the people. You cannot expect that other will come to you to embrace, but you should create a situation that they will come and address. So my 4th chapter is on communalism. No doubt, communal polarization. Now political parties are using communalism. Even secular parties, I'm sorry to say that, using communism, because for them, the primary goal is coming to power. So if they can come to power by even playing soft Hindutva, they don't mind power doing that. So I have not, there I will tell you when I answer the question of Abu Saleh Sharif, that we should not depend. They should depend on us. We should be proactive. Communalism is there. We have to fight the communalism. How can we fight? Can we also show communalism? We have to. That is why I have stressed interfaith dialogue, communication, dialogue with people. Yes, they have misunderstanding. All are not bad. If entire Hindu community become communal, we cannot exist. It's only 5 to 10% who are showing, as I have said in the parliament speech we have heard. I see this venom is spread by few people to come into power. But a large section of people are secular, as Abu Saleh rightly has said, secular. I have seen my own life. I have been brought up in a village full of 90% are non-Muslims, Hindu friends. I have very good Hindu friends. Even now, I work with them. So this communalism is, to the final chapter, I have this religiosity. You see, if all religion follow their religion, it is a boom. Let be a good Hindu, good Muslim, good Parsi, good Christian. No religion, as we believe, propagate hatredness. Every religion is, if you study inter-religions, Dr. Nazir Saab is here, he's a master, he has said. That is why I have extensively quoted from Holy Quran in the book. It is the guidance Allah has given us, how to live in this world, how to capture, how to be leaders of the humanity. We have forgotten, and we are developing a passiveness, negative feeling, and negativism. All this is causing. So this book, and in the end, I have summarized about 22 points, which we if try to practice, I hope the day is not over. We can win many friends, and we can come from negativity to positivity. This, and in the end, because I mentioned Dr. Ambedkar, I have given this some extract of in the appendix, the draft constitution of the amendment 1940, draft constitution of the Ambedkar, which he has submitted to the Constitutional Assembly in 1946, which is very, because how our constitutional framers, and also we had no representative in the Constitutional Assembly after partition. Everybody migrated to defend our rights. There was no representative in the Constitutional Assembly. So these are all historical fact. Nehru's letter I have given how, and so these are some of the appendix I have included. So overall, this is not. I agree that all may not agree. It is not necessary that everybody should agree with my point of view. But I have expressed my concern and my thinking and my experience, which I have gained working in the community, building the institution. I feel the primary duty is we have resources. In fact, for example, every time we rise, where are the resources? We are part of India. We are contributing to GDP savings, and we are not. Almost I have calculated that we contribute to this Indian GDP savings of about $45 billion saving. Though we are poor, we are contributing 45 billion rupees of savings. We are not using even 1% of it for our economic development, our social development, because we have no banks, no financial institution. We are never addressed to these things. We have no corporates. We don't have place in corporate. Out of 6,000 listed companies in the country, we don't have even 100 listed companies. We don't have a place in cooperatives, which is changing the entire country's outlook. We are zero in agriculture. We don't have NGOs to serve the society. We don't have media. And all this I have attempted. And every area I have attempted, and Alhamdulillah, there is success. If I as an individual, we as a group can succeed, why not the entire community? So we have to change the thinking. How can we change? It is one person or one organization cannot change. So we have to effort, and then the community has to take this challenge, and hopefully we have to try. How I also have no solution, but whatever I thought I have given that as a solution. I hope if anybody wants to have any questions, they can freely ask my question. In the meantime, I will address Mr. So can I start my question and answer, Rajya sir?
Rahman sir, if you want to do the question answer of Abu Saleh Saab as part of your lecture, that's fine. Because after your talk is over, Professor Akhtul Wase will do the concluding remark, and then we will have a moderated question and answer session.
So I
So
will
maybe in that you can address.
that I can utilize that time.
Yeah, sure. You utilize
for
you have
question
time.
answer session. Right now, Professor Wase Saab can.
All right. So you're done now?
Yes, I have done.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And let what's Akhtul Saab? Akhtul Wase Saab? Yeah, please.
जी बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। काबिल सदर एहतराम साहब, मोहतरम रदीउद्दीन साहब, डॉक्टर अबू सालेह शरीफ साहब, दीगर नाजरीन और सामईन, मैं शुक्रिया अदा करता हूँ अपने कदीम मतलब वतन के उन फर्जंदों को जो बैठे हुए तो अमेरिका में हैं, 100 वहां रहे हैं, लेकिन ख्वाब हमारे बारे में देखना उन्होंने चाहिए। रहमान खान साहब के बारे में एक बात मैं ये कह दूं कि मैं इस बात से इत्तेफाक नहीं करता कि वो जुनूबी हिंद के लीडर हैं। वो जो लीडर हैं और सिर्फ जुनूबी हिंद नुमाइंदगी कि वो जुनूबी हिंद से मुंतखब होके आते रहे, लेकिन वो सारे हिंदुस्तान की फिक्र करते रहे। और मेरा 31 अगस्त तक जिस यूनिवर्सिटी से ताल्लुक था, जोधपुर की मौलाना आजाद यूनिवर्सिटी, उसकी तामीर और तश्कील और बुनियाद में उनका भी पूरा हाथ रहा है, मैं इसका एतराफ करता हूँ। दूसरी बात यह कि मैं उन्हें उनकी 2 किताबें आई हैं, एक पर अभी उन्होंने रोशनी डाली, दूसरी उनकी ऑटोबायोग्राफी है मेरी यादें के नाम से। एक बात मैं यहाँ पहले कहता चलूं कि ये जरूरी नहीं है आप रहमान खान साहब की हर बात से मुत्तफिक, लेकिन ये बात भी अपनी जगह सही है कि उन्होंने जो सवालात उठाए हैं उनका जवाब आपको सोचना पड़ेगा और अमली तौर पे देना भी पड़ेगा। इसी पर मुनहसिर है हिंदुस्तानी मुसलमानों का मुस्तकबिल और इस मुल्क के साथ हमारा ताल्लुक जो है वो, ये बात अपनी जगह रहनी चाहिए। आजादी के बाद जैसा कि खान साहब ने कहा, इस मुल्क में जो मुसलमान रह वफादारी और ताल्लुक के एतबार जी। दूसरी बात जो मुझे अर्ज करनी है, जो मुसलमानों की पसमानदगी है, मुझे माफ कीजिएगा, सच्चर कमेटी का तस्करा आया, यहाँ पे सालेह साहब मौजूद हैं, अबू सालेह शरीफ साहब, खान साहब मौजूद हैं। ये एक सवाल है कि वो नबी उम्मी जो गारे हिरा से सूए कौम आया था,
भाई वासे साहब, आपकी आवाज बीच बीच में फ्रीज हो जा रही है। आई थिंक देयर इज सम इशू विद योर डिवाइस और इंटरनेट।
I can control whatever I can do।
जी बिल्कुल आप बोलें थोड़ा सा।
तो असल मसला ये है कि जो जिन के नबी उम्मी ने ये कहा हो कि इल्म हासिल करना फर्ज है मुसलमान मर्द पर और मुसलमान औरत पर, उसके मानने वाले तालीमी एतबार से पसमानदा क्यों? ये सवाल है जिसे सोचना चाहिए। एक बात ये कि हमें खान साहब ने अपनी किताबों, दोनों किताबों, खास तौर से जो दूसरी किताब जिस पे आज बहस हो रही है और गुफ्तगू हो रही है, जिस पे खान साहब ने मबसूत और मुफस्सल एतबार से रोशनी भी डाली है, उसमें ये सवाल भी है कि मुसलमान इख्तिसारी तौर पर पसमानदा क्यों है। सवाल ये है कि हम ये शिकायत करते हैं कि हमारे साथ डिस्क्रिमिनेशन होता है, मैं उससे इनकार नहीं करता, बिल्कुल साफ बात है। लेकिन सवाल ये है कि बकौल किसी उर्दू शायर के, जिसे लोग कहते हैं जिंदगी वो तो हादसों का हुजूम है, ये तो कहिए मेरा ही काम था कि मैं दरमियान से गुजर गया। आप इन तमाम मसाइब और मसाइल के बीच में से अपने लिए रास्ता बनाने की पोजीशन में है या नहीं, इस पर क्या में आपको गौर करना है, ये बहुत जरूरी बात है। सवाल ये है कि आजादी के बाद इसमें कोई शक नहीं है कि वो चीजें नहीं मिली जो हमें मिलनी चाहिए थी, लेकिन इसके बावजूद जब भी मौका मिला हिंदुस्तानी मुसलमानों ने अपनी वर्थ जो है उसको साबित किया है और इस मुल्क की तरक्की में, इस मुल्क की तामीर में, इस मुल्क की नेकनामी में अपनी हैसियत बनाई है। इल्म की दुनिया से फिल्म की दुनिया तक, सियासत से लेकर मईशत तक, कौन सा ऐसा मैदान है जिसमें कि हमारी नुमाइंदगी नहीं हुई है? मिसाइल मैन कौन है? एपीजे अब्दुल कलाम। एंटार्क्टिका में नए अहद की गंगोत्री की स्थापना करने वाले कौन थे? डॉक्टर अज़ाद कासिम और डॉक्टर सिद्दीकी थे। जी, इस मुल्क के अंदर एग्रीकल्चरल जो रेवोल्यूशन आया और जमींदारी एक्ट आया, उसके लिए जो खाके तैयार किए, उन खाका तैयार करने वालों में क्या प्रोफेसर अली मोहम्मद खुसरो का नाम नहीं था बहैसियत माहिर मुआशियात के? ये तमाम चीजें हैं जिस पे कि हमें गौर करना चाहिए और सरकार को भी गौर करना चाहिए। मैं रहमान खान साहब की इस बात से बिल्कुल 100% इत्तेफाक करता हूं कि सरकार जो है वो फैसिलिटेटर होती है, प्रोवाइडर नहीं होती। लेकिन एक ऐसे मुआशरे में जहां पर के आपने किसी न किसी तरीके से फैसिलिटेटर के अलावा प्रोवाइडर का भी रोल इख्तियार कर रखा हो, वहां पर आप अपनी जिम्मेदारियों से एक कम्युनिटी के तई बच नहीं सकते। मुसलमानों का मामला, मैं बड़े खुगरे मदहा को थोड़े से गिले की इजाजत दीजिए तो मैं ये कहने की इजाजत चाहूंगा कि हमें बात ये है कि हम गाली और ताली के अलावा कुछ नहीं जानते। हमारी परेशानी जो है वो ये हो गई है कि हम केवल देना तो बड़ी चीज है, उस पोजीशन में तो अपने को पाते ही नहीं है, हम लेने की भी क्या में हैसियत में नहीं, और इंतहा ये कि इंतकाम भी लेने का सलीका हमें नहीं आता। ये तमाम चीजें हैं जिन पे के मुसलमानों को बहैसियत मजमूई गौर करना चाहिए। मुसलमानों को एक बात ये खूब समझनी चाहिए कि अल्लाह रब्बुल इज्जत ने हमें जब इस मुल्क में पैदा किया है तो ये उसकी मर्जी और मंशा के ऐन मुताबिक है कि हम अक़लियती मुआशरे में पैदा हुए। जी, तो जब अक़लियती मुआशरे में पैदा हुए तो हमें अपने रब की रजा में राजी होना चाहिए, उसका शिकवा नहीं करना चाहिए और उस पर परेशान नहीं होना चाहिए। खान साहब जैसे लोगों ने इदारे कायम किए हैं, इसी तरह की इदारा साजी जो है वो हमने क्यों नहीं की। लेकिन मुझे एक बात की खुशी है, मैं यहाँ पे खान साहब की इजाजत से ही कहना चाहता हूँ और वो उससे इत्तफाक करेंगे कि 6 दिसंबर 1992 को बाबरी मस्जिद की शहादत के बाद उसके मलबे से हिंदुस्तानी मुसलमानों की जो साइकी बरामद हुई, उसमें तालीम की तरफ एक ज़ौक़ और शौक़ का खासा जोर देखने को हमें मिला। और इसीलिए अगर आप देखें तो लखनऊ में इंटीग्रल यूनिवर्सिटी, सहारनपुर में गुरुकुल यूनिवर्सिटी, धौज हरियाणा में अल-फलाह यूनिवर्सिटी, राजस्थान जोधपुर में मौलाना आजाद यूनिवर्सिटी, चेन्नई में बीएस अब्दुल रहमान यूनिवर्सिटी जी, और कटिहार के अंदर भी डॉक्टर करीम जो सबा करीम है उनकी कायम की हुई यूनिवर्सिटी। ये ऐसे इदारे हैं जो इस बात की गवाही दे रहे हैं कि मुसलमानों में तालीम की तरफ एक ज़ौक़ पैदा हुआ है। 1857 के बाद हमें सर सैयद मिले थे, 1947 के बाद हमें हकीम अब्दुल हमीद मिले। जामिया हमदर्द जो है वो एक हमारे सामने वो भी बेहतरीन मिसाल है, उसको हम नजरअंदाज नहीं कर सकते। खान साहब ने जो सवालात उठाए हैं, जिन लोगों के हवाले से उठाए हैं, वो भी बड़े अहम। मौलाना आजाद हो, जवाहरलाल नेहरू हो, डॉक्टर अंबेडकर हो, ये गैर मामूली लोग थे और मुसलमानों को अपने दुखों का, अपने मसाइब का और माफ कीजिएगा साथ में माइब का जी जो इलाज है और हल है वो इनके यहाँ तलाश करना चाहिए। और एक बात की जो कोशिश करनी चाहिए वो ये कि के रहमान खान साहब अल-अमीन की तहरीक से जुड़े रहे, उसको आगे बढ़ाने में गैर मामूली रोल अंजाम दिया, लेकिन बहरहाल लोगों के बीच में इख्तलाफात होते हैं। हमारे यहाँ नहीं, दुनिया में हर जगह होता है कि जो बाज कायदीन होते हैं, बाज महवरी लोग होते हैं, उन्हें बुनियादी तौर पे फॉलोअर्स चाहिए होते हैं, फ्रेंड्स नहीं चाहिए होते। खान साहब भी उसका शिकार हुए और उसमें बदमज़गी भी हुई, लेकिन खान साहब ने उन इदारों को बर्बाद करने के बजाय नई इदारा साजी की। हमें इससे सबक लेना चाहिए। और नॉर्थ इंडिया में मैं एक बात ये अर्ज करना चाहता हूँ, अभी एक मसला बाकी है जिसका हल तलाश करना चाहिए उम्मत को, और वो ये कि हमारे पुराने इदारे जो हैं वो आज तक मुकदमेबाजियों में फंसे हुए हैं, उससे किसी तरह से उन्हें निकालना चाहिए। खान साहब ने इसके अलावा औकाफ की तश्कील नौ के सिलसिले में जो गैर मामूली काम किया, वक्फ की पार्लियामेंट्री कमेटी के चेयरमैन के तौर पे भी और वैसे भी, वो भी गैर मामूली है। अक़लियती उमूर के वजीर के तौर पर उन्हें बहुत कम वक्त मिला, अगर उनको पूरा वक्त मिल जाता तो शायद बहुत अक़लियतों के बहुत से मामलात में हम आज ये दिन न देखते जिसे देख रहे हैं। एक आखिरी बात मुझे अर्ज करनी है, और वो खास तौर से जो हमारे साथ समंदर पार भाई बहन रहते हैं उनसे कहनी है, और अपने नौजवानों दोस्तों से खास तौर से कहनी है कि परेशान होने की जरूरत नहीं है। इसलिए परेशान होने की जरूरत नहीं है कि जमाने में हालात बदलते रहते हैं और सदा वक्त एक सा नहीं रहता है। वो कौम जो सानहे करबला के बाद जिंदा रही, वो कौम जो सुकूत बगदाद के बाद जिंदा रही, जो हिंदुस्तान में 1857 और 1943 के बाद जिंदा रही, मैं यकीन दिलाता हूं 1992 और 2002 के बाद भी इंशाल्लाह वो जिंदा रहेगी, आगे बढ़ती रहेगी और उसमें हमें कोई परेशानी नहीं होगी। हिंदुस्तान का मफाद मुसलमान के मफाद से अलहदा नहीं है। मुसलमान का मफाद और हिंदुस्तान का मफाद एक दूसरे से जुड़े हुए हैं। हमें इस बात पर पक्का यकीन है। हम हिंदुस्तान की अजमत के कायल हैं। हिंदुस्तान में अगर आज कुछ आवाजें हमें ऐसी सुनाई देती हैं जो परेशान करती हो, तो हमें परेशान नहीं होना चाहिए, बल्कि इस बात की कोशिश करनी चाहिए कि हम खैर सगाली का माहौल पैदा करें। और जो खान साहब जिस बात को बार बार दोहराते हैं, मैं उनकी आवाज में आवाज मिलाते हुए कहूंगा कि हमें देने वाला बनना चाहिए, लेने वाला और मांगने वाला नहीं बनना चाहिए। हमारे एक दोस्त ने इस प्रोग्राम के शुरू होने से पहले रजी साहब ने जब तस्करा किया तो उन्होंने कहा था कि अख्तरुल वासे जो हैं वो बुनियादी तौर पे उन्होंने मेरा इलेक्शन लड़ाया था अलीगढ़ में, तो वो कह रहे थे, तो उन्होंने एक तकरीर का हवाला दिया था। मैं उस तकरीर को दोहरा के ही अपनी बात खत्म करता हूं कि बिलाशुबा हमने इस मुल्क को लाल किले कुतुब मीनार की बुलंदी दी, ताजमहल का हुस्न दिया, लाल किले की पुख्तगी दी, शाहजहानी मस्जिद का तकद्दुस और इरफान अता किया, निजामुद्दीन और मोइनुद्दीन चिश्ती जो हैं उनकी हमने पाकीज़गी और हुर्मत अता की। लेकिन हमें ये नहीं भूलना चाहिए, जब तक हम सब ये दे सकते थे उस वक्त तक इस मुल्क ने जिल्ले इलाही भी हमें ही तस्लीम किया था। आज हम इस मुल्क को क्या देने के लिए तैयार हैं, इसी पर हमारा इन्हिसार होगा। इस मुल्क से, हमारे इस मुल्क के रहने वालों से और इस मुल्क में बसने वालों से और इस मुल्क के चाहने वालों से हमारे ताल्लुक का। हिंदुस्तान कल भी अजीम था, आज भी अजीम है। हिंदुस्तान मेरा मादरी वतन ही नहीं है, मेरा पिदरी वतन भी है, क्योंकि मेरा अकीदा ये है कि जब आदम आसमान से जमीन पे भेजे गए थे तो वो हिंदुस्तान में उतारे गए थे। इसलिए लोगों का दूसरा के लोगों के लिए हिंदुस्तान सिर्फ मादरी वतन होगा, मेरा पिदरी वतन भी है। मैं के रहमान खान साहब को मुबारकबाद देता हूं, जिन्होंने बहरहाल ठहरे हुए पानी में अपने ख्यालात की कुछ कंकरियां फेंकी, उनसे जो इर्तियाश पैदा हुआ उसकी धमक हम आज वाशिंगटन में भी सुन रहे हैं। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया, बहुत बहुत नवाजिश।
भाई क्या कहें, माशाअल्लाह माशाअल्लाह, जबरदस्त। आज भी वही वलवला है और वही जोश, वही स्टाइल है। अख्तर बासे साहब, रहमान साहब, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। बहुत ही इंस्पिरेशनल जो जर्नी आपकी थी वो बहुत इंस्पिरेशनल थी, और जो प्रिस्क्रिप्शन आपने बताया है उससे मैं फुल्ली इत्तेफाक करता हूँ, और उम्मीद है कि ज़्यादातर हमारे लोग इत्तेफाक करेंगे कि सिचुएशन बुरी ज़रूर है, लेकिन कोशिश तो हम कर सकते हैं। सो बिफोर वी गो टू क्वेश्चन आंसर फॉर्मल सेशन, as usual I always show you the next coming Saturday's event. So we have I have a अलाउद्दीन लैम्प जिसको कहते हैं ना, उसमें एक देव रहता है जिसका नाम है दानिश इकबाल। तो जब मुझे कोई प्रॉब्लम होता है तो दानिश इकबाल, मैं अपना लैंप उठाता हूँ, उसमें से दानिश इकबाल निकलते हैं। अगले हफ्ते के स्पीकर अचानक कोविड में बीमार हो गई, तो अब वो हमारा हाथ पैर फूल गया कि भाई अब हमें एक हफ्ते के अंदर क्या करें। तो दिल्ली खटखटाया तो मालूम हुआ कि दानिश इकबाल साहब का देव उभरा। उन्होंने कहा डोंट वरी, मैं डेंटिस्ट क्या हूँ, लेकिन आपको मैं तलाश करके एक इवेंट करा देता हूं। तो आपसे अगले हफ्ते पूनम मीरा मिलेंगी, जो जबरदस्त पोएटिस भी हैं और बहुत अच्छी गजल पढ़ती हैं। इंशाअल्लाह आप सब लोग आइए और पूनम मीरा से मिलिए, दानिश इकबाल उनको इंट्रोड्यूस करेंगे। तो बाकायदा पोस्टर बाद में